Thank you, everybody. I think you can do better than that. I'm expecting a louder round of applause. All right, that's too much. Just to clear the air, I am not the general manager of this resort, if you can see. But 3 months ago, Byron sent an email, and I checked the email, and it looked like a spam, but it was an email. I checked it nonetheless and said, I'm invited to speak in a global event. And the event would happen in Bataan, Las Casas, Filipinas, our heritage, one of our heritage towns here in the Philippines, and it's in the other side of the Philippines, which I thought, whoa, it's safe. And then a few weeks after, I got another email saying that your event will happen in Club Balay Isabel, fronting an active volcano, which can erupt anytime. Like as we are doing this convention, and I thought, do I still accept it or not? And so I said, what are these people thinking, really? But I think that's what leaders do. We go to places where no one would ever even attempt to go before. A round of applause for your courage. Yes, you got it. And so I still got the invitation because, I needed cash. But hopefully you're enjoying the Philippines. I tell you why. You want to know why? Yes. There's no other country you can ever be today than here. Think about that. And if you don't enjoy where you are, that's where people make a lot of mistakes. They are in a place, but their mind and spirit is somewhere else. So the key to happiness as leaders, be where you are. And so today, I got up early today, and I was in the mood. So I thought, maybe I should bring a copy of my book, and then right away, during my introduction, I am going to give it away. And it's like you don't like it. Okay, so who wants this book? You don't have to read it, you just have to want it. Who wants this book? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is just a copy. I'm just counting heads. Who wants this book? Come on. Who wants this book? Come on. Who wants this book? Who wants this book? Who wants this book? Come on. Who wants this book? Come on. Who wants this book? You can have this photocopied in a few. But who wants this book? Who wants this book? Who wants this book? Who wants this book? All right. Who wants this book? Who wants this book? Right. I have another question. Who stole my book? That's the difference between the doers and the well-wishers. If you want to get something, stand up. Pay the price and get it. So that's the difference. Many of us, we have a lot of ideas. Many of us, we have a lot of desires. The courage to do it and to take it, sometimes that's where the problem lies. So congratulations, madam, for getting the book. It's 1,000 pesos. I'll collect in a few. Yes. In 2018, I had the opportunity. Is it working? In 2018, I had the opportunity to travel to Auckland, New Zealand. It was my first time to speak in another continent. It's called Oceania continent. And I was there not just for leisure. I was there because I had a very particular mission. I think the mission at the time was to become the first and only Filipino to have ever represented our country in a global speaker summit, eventually becoming the youngest board member of the Global Speakers Federation. Thank you. And the story behind that is because in 2012, when I was still a very young and handsome speaker, as it is now, thank you, I was thinking of putting up an association for speaking professionals because our professions, we are very competitive. We look at each other and we look at them as competitors. We are each and everyone's competitors. So I thought, why not form an association? Because we are competitors, we form it. We try to collaborate. So in 2012, I announced that I was establishing the first ever association of speaking professionals here in the Philippines. And lo and behold, I got 3 people joining. And we cannot even legally incorporate it in the government. So I shelved my dream and my idea. I said, maybe it's not a good idea, but I'm going to put it. It was still a dream, but I'm going to park it right there. And so in 2017, I tried to start it again, 2016 or 2017. And lo and behold, I got 4. No, I got 14 people with me, and we were able to put up the Philippine Association of Professional Speakers. One of the things that I realized in leadership is that if you want people to follow you, you actually have 2 choices to make. And it will always be about between leading either with authority or with inspiration. In my experience, leading with authority is not sustainable, whereas leading by inspiration, you don't even have to tell people what to do, because when they are inspired, they will do more than you will ask for. It's self-service, right? If I like my talk, I clap for myself. So I'm going to touch about this topic in a few, but think about it. Are you leading because people are inspired to follow you, or they are just forced to do it because you're the leader anyway, and they don't have so much choice? In my case, I thought leading an association is difficult because you don't pay them. They volunteer the time and resources and energy to follow you. So we put up that association in 2016 and 2017, and we became part. And I was thinking after that event in New Zealand, I would probably want to go to Europe. Now, for a guy like me, I didn't come from a well-off family. I thought going to the other part of the world, trying to explore that part, I thought it was close to impossible. But it happened in 2019 when my family and I went there. But, not just for leisure. I had another mission there, and the mission was to become the first Filipino to have ever spoken in the French and European Speakers Convention. Thank you. And I was so ready and so prepared to take my professional speaking career globally. I was thinking next year, after that, I was going to the US, Canada, Africa, because the stage was set. I have prepared for my entire life just to go global. And I thought that in 2020, it will be a perfect year. 2020, year of the perfect vision. Everything you said will happen right there. Until COVID hit. So my plan, the momentum, gone. I couldn't express how disappointed and frustrated I was at the time, because I was about to do the impossible, and now I was back to square one. I no longer have a live audience, because even if I like to speak, no one will be there to listen anyway. So I thought, what do I do? But then again, things pass, right? I mean, so that in 2022, the global economy started opening up. My wife and I traveled to the United Arab Emirates, particularly the Emirates of Sharjah and Dubai. We are back. At that point, I would become the only Filipino to speak in the world's largest book fair. It's called Sharjah International Book Fair. Thank you. And there I was able to showcase some of the books that I have written, 17 books in 17 years. My first book, when I wrote my first book, no publishing company wanted to publish it. So what I did was, I published it myself. So there's a wisdom there. If nobody believes in you, try to believe in yourself. It will take you someplace. But I hope that was the greatest accomplishment, just to speak there. But the greater accomplishment there at the time was never in my wildest imagination I will be able to speak side by side with the following global international figures. Something is wrong, right? I mean, if you're going to check it, something must be wrong in this. Someone does not belong, right? But it was there at the time during the convention. I spoke alongside Deepak Chopra at the time. Sharing the stage was just, oh my God, Dr. Deepak Chopra, just as tall as me. Very small guy. The reason I'm sharing this with you is because if there's one thing I realize is that you wouldn't know how far you can go until you decide you badly want to go there. Where do you think your organization will be in 5 years or 10 years? And how much are you willing to do now in order for you to achieve that is the question. Many of us don't want to go someplace because we thought what we will find there is something that we don't like. And so we stop and just stay put. Don't rock the boat. We are all comfortable here. Nothing's gonna change now. It's uncomfortable. And then we find a place irrelevant or maybe catching up with the competition. Now I have a question for you. If you go out someplace, you decide that you're going to do this, and then the result did not come into your favor, is it good for you or not? If the result is not favorable, you make a decision now, it's not so favorable, is it good for you or not? It's actually good for you. You know why? Because you realize it's not good for you. You pick up from there and make another decision. What if, after deciding another one, it's not yet favorable for you? Good or not? Probably still good. Because by process of elimination, what I realize in life is that when all things that you don't like have been eliminated, the things that will remain are the things that you will like. So practically what I am saying is, you make a decision fast because in this time and age, you cannot afford to just wait. Just as much as what I did in the book. All of you wanted the book, but you just raised your hand. You did not try to steal it. You did not have the courage, but one person almost got it. Sir, I'm sorry, I have to apologize, but you almost got it. But I have something here for sale. And someone got in there and I got the book. You see, it's about taking steps, making decisions. Now, I am here, and this is just introductory. Moving forward, you will have to choose between convenience and resilience. As leaders, when we think about ourselves, the first thing that you would like to imagine is, with our leader, we should be in a convenient position. In reality, it's not. If you are a true leader, you choose resilience over convenience. Because not so many good things will come your way if you're a leader. You are not measured by the same standard that your people are being measured. So, convenience, take it away from your mind, because as leader, probably what you would like is to be resilient rather than be convenient. Now, I'm going to talk to you about maybe an old and new concept of leadership, probably first time you're going to hear at this point. Who among you here have heard about step-back leadership? Of course, because we talked about this, right? I mean, this is my presentation, Byron. Good thing you remembered. But the rest, who among you here have heard of Stepback leadership? Okay, I'm going to say it again so you can hear it. Who among you here have heard about Stepback leadership? I just said it. You didn't hear it? Okay, I'm going to ask again. Who among you here have heard of Stepback leadership? Okay, finally you got it. I can't believe you didn't get it the first time. But if you understand the concept of Stepback leadership, probably it's something that you wouldn't agree right away, because as a leader, you don't step back. You attack! And you stay in front. And you do the leading, etc., etc. Because when I was introducing this concept to the past president of the U.S. National Speakers Association, he can't believe it. I mean, if you are a leader, you should be right there in front and lead from the front. But I was telling him, well, there's another concept here in the Philippines, local setting, that I actually came up with. And this is backed up by a research. In other words, this is not a concept based on my imagination. So, are you ready? Are you ready? We're going to talk about it. Ready? Okay, good. So, my discussion will come from the stolen book. The title is Stepback Leadership. And right away, I'm going to claim that the content of the book is basically the original Filipino leadership philosophy that built one of the world's ancient wonder called the rice terraces of the Philippine Cordillera. This is a UNESCO World Heritage Site declared, and I thought, how did we build it? How did we build it 2,000 years before? Now, my argument was simple. Coming from New Zealand, going back to the Philippines, I thought if I would like to be a known speaker, I should be able to have a specific topic that I can call my own. Meaning to say, I should have a material that is not copy-pasted from someone else's. And so I thought, what should that be? And I was thinking, maybe I can write about leadership. Because what happens in the Philippines is that the clicker is not working. What happens in the Philippines is that we use borrowed material. So we lead and manage our organizations based on imported goods from the West. So we try to be a country and the people that is Western, but we are actually Eastern. And so I thought, are we really maximizing our potential because we're using someone else's philosophy and systems and methods? Or maybe we are just hitting 20% of what we can, because while these concepts from the West are not wrong, my idea is maybe it's not culturally fitting. Because when you ask the Filipino people who their favorite leadership author is, probably the names would come up would be Maxwell and Sinek and whoever. So I was trying to inch myself in. It should be Luna. That's the point. But borrowed leadership. Again, there's no wrong concept of leadership. But there is a wrong leader and a culturally misfit leadership. So, here's the story. Would you allow me to tell you a very short story? Would you allow me to do a very short story? Bedtime. Okay? Okay, this is just very short. 2,000 years ago, really short. 2,000 years ago, our Filipino ancestors built the world-famous Ifugao rice terraces with nothing but their hands, their ingenuity, and their deep sense of community. Over hundreds of years, they carved up the mountains only using primitive tools, materials such as woods and rocks, and whatever is there available for them. There was no heavy equipment, advanced machinery, advanced technology, nothing. And so I thought, how on earth can they do that? And then, something happened in 1521 when a certain European in the room, raise your hand. when a certain European from Spain, Portugal, commissioned by the King of Spain, said, let's sail to the east and then explore it. Came to the Philippines. And when they came, we cannot speak the language. And so, this person, called Ferdinand Magellan, said, the Filipinos were barbaric, naive, and uneducated. On the basis of, we don't know how to speak their language. And so I thought, are you sure? Are you sure, Ferdinand, that we are really barbaric, naive, and uneducated? Because my argument is that at the time, this has been already established here. Is this the work of people who are barbaric, naive, and uneducated? Probably not. Because the only way you can build the rice terraces is if you have knowledge in mathematics, science, anatomy, biology, cosmetology. Cosmetology is not part of it. So I thought you could only build it if you have knowledge in hydraulics, irrigation, the entire system. So in other words, when they came in the 1500s, we are already a built society and community. So the reason I'm saying that is because at the time, my claim was Filipinos were already civilized, sophisticated, and outright genius. Thank you. Europeans, take note. So, something happened since then. Our education system, in our books, in our primary school, our history starts in 1521, when a certain person from the West discovered the Philippines. See? Something is wrong right away. So I'm going to try to compare our rice terraces with other ancient wonders of the world, which does not intend to offend anyone from you, but I'm going to put it in perspective. So I'm going to travel around the world. Are you with me? Okay, we're going to travel around the world by not going anywhere but here. Who among here are familiar with the Pyramid of Egypt? Been there? Okay, so what can you see here? Camels. You can see the camels. It's pyramid I'm showing. You prioritize the camel over the pyramid, huh? Nice. Okay, this is the Pyramid of Egypt. It was built in 2560 BC by Emperor Khufu. Of course, you don't know that. But I know, so believe me. And the function, tomb. When I die, bury me there. So the entire civilization was forced to work just for the leader to have a tomb. Now, I'm not saying it's wrong. If it is culturally fitting, I'm okay with that. But that kind of leadership is me leadership. Do this for me. Where do you want to go next? I'm thinking of China. Anyone from China? Oh, relax. This is what you call, this is what you call the Great Wall of China. It was established and built in 220 BC by the Qing Shi Huang dynasty. All right. Thank you. You know. Now, how did I know that? I was there when it was built. It was built for protection and for defense. Because at the time, they were at war with the Mongolians. So they said, we are going to build a great wall. Put it so high that they cannot climb over it. But during the war, guess what? Someone unexpected won the war. And it was not China. The clue is, it was not China. It was Mongolia at the time. Not because the Mongolians were able to climb up the wall, but because Mongolians simply get into the gate. Because at the time, because it's so long and so high, some of the soldiers there, the farthest part, no longer cannot get food ration from the dynasty. And so who fed them? Mongolians. Now, if you are a Chinese and you were fed by your enemy and said, I am going to enter, can I enter your property?
No.
You're dead. Can I enter?
Yes.
Okay, traitor. This is what you call it. But if I were to say it, I'm going to say right away, yes, sure. Please do enter. Please do enter. And that's where the problem lies. You know, it was built great, but the strategy didn't work because at the time there was lack in strategy. Again, this is not to say that the Great Wall of China is not great. Engineering was great at the time. I cannot think of any other engineering wonder that is as mighty as this. But again, there was something wrong in there. Now, I'm going to go to another country. It's called Italy. This is what you call the Colosseum. It was built in 72 AD by the Vespasian dynasty. Can you confirm that? Yeah, sure. I think you're not so sure. But it was built as a sort of an entertainment center because at the time, Nero dynasty was succeeded by the Vespasian dynasty. The Vespasian dynasty decided they were going to raise taxes. And in order for the dynasty to be able to somehow distract the people from rallying against the government, they said, let's entertain them. So what they did was they tried to use the prisoners, you know, the gladiators kind of stuff. They said, okay, fight. The only person who will be left alive standing is the only person who will be freed from the prison. It was great engineering, but the purpose is entertainment. Again, not to say that this is not great, because this is great. In fact, so great that I had to go there myself to see it. Now, lastly, let's go closer to the Philippines. India? Sir. India. Okay, this is what you call Taj Mahal. It was built by Emperor Shah Jahan for his wife Mumtaz Mahal. It was built, okay? Don't have to know when, but it was built. But it was built in 1632, I guess. And the goal is for them to have a tomb because Mumtaz Mahal, his wife, died for giving birth to her 13th child. So if your children is already 12, you have to think twice. Think twice because, 13th might be not your luck. So it was built. And after building this, the emperor said, everyone who worked for building this, come over. And then the emperor said, cut all the hands. Because the belief was, this Taj Mahal cannot have any duplicate in any other parts of the world. So good thing I was not there at the time. So I'm very happy, and you should too, we're not there. But not to say that this is not great, because this is great engineering. You cannot probably think of another wonder of the world as great as this at the time. But again, the purpose is something that is either not sustainable or something is not right, quite right. So, I'm going to do this. What do you think are common among these 4 ancient wonders of the world? Okay, full color, high definition. They're all pictures. What? Okay. Now, agree with me if you will, but the first is these are all man-made. Yes or no? Yes. In other words, there's no woman involved. It seems like you disagree. Okay, so it should be human-made. I think I should be gender-sensitive here, right? It's human-made, not alien-made, but human-made. So it's a yes. Yes? Okay. Are these ancient wonders of the world? Now, I'm going to give you a clue. The answer to all my questions is yes. from here up to there, okay? Okay, so ancient wonders. Were they built by either salaried workers or slaves? Yes. Again, the answer is yes. Have that confidence. Were they built because someone ordered? I'm not yet done with the question, but the answer is there already. Appreciate that. And it was built because at the time they needed that, yes? Yes. And finally, you can imagine a lot of people died in the process of building them. Now, I'm going to go to our very own. This is really one-sided here. I'm going to go to our very own pride, which is called the rice terraces of the Philippine Cordillera. This is man-made, right? Please say it's man-made. Because this is really man-made. They use hand, so it's also handmade. And foot, so foot-made. Handmade, foot-made. This is what we would like to believe is the eighth wonder of the world. Because we cannot be part of the seven wonders, we created our eighth. That's how genius we are. And this is an interesting fact. It was built by free men. No one was paid, no one was abused, no one was enslaved. They volunteered their time, energy, and effort because they wanted to build something not for themselves alone, but for the community in general. And if you cannot appreciate it, the size of our Cordillera region is 10 times the size of Singapore, is as big as Jamaica, and as big as the state of Connecticut in US. It's kind of huge. So it was built by free men. And this is the central idea of my thesis, no single leader was ever identified for building it. You cannot find any name of a leader that said, I built it. So starting today, it's me. No one is claiming, I would rather claim it. And so I said, how could a society or community with such kind of sustainable edifice would have something like this built without someone known to be the leader? And you can also should imagine that it's not just about not having the name, because probably there should be a leader, right? But there is no name available. And they did that because at the time they needed food security. But also they realized that, wait a minute, it's just not about our generation. It should be the generation after our generation. So you can see the vision of the ancient Filipinos right here. They destroyed the mountains without destroying the mountains. Are you following? And so I said, this is something that gives life and still that gives livelihood to the people who live in there, in the mountains. So very quickly, all four that you can see on my right, these are no longer functional as they were originally built. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Philippines, your host country, the home to the only surviving functional ancient wonder of the world. I think you should have done this seminar there. It's called Hours Ride, Land Travel. The one day you should go there. So I realized one thing as I do the research. Your sense of identity is the foundation for a great destiny. Do not forget who you are. And do not overstep someone else's identity because it's a lose-lose situation when you do that. When you start imposing your belief, your culture, and your identity over someone else's, you are not only depriving the person from growing, you're also trying to kill that identity, whereas it should be the foundation for his or her great destiny. So, uh, how did I do this? Was I too bored? Sir Lloyd, are you too bored to research about that? By the way, just to clear, it's not me. It's someone else's. No, I wasn't bored, but I had to do this. Travel 357 kilometers from Manila. This is, by the way, if you decide next time to go there, yeah, this is the kind of highway that you're going to take. And then there's a ritual. When you arrive there, there's a ritual. They will butcher a chicken, and then right when you arrive there, they will butcher a chicken, native chicken, and they will have to check the internal organs of the chicken. If the internal organ says, they will read it, and the native will say, the internal organ suggests that, oh, this is a good alignment of the internal organs, then you're welcome in their household. If the internal organs of the chicken, the liver and the bile, does not seem to align well, they are going to doubt you, because they will say, the spirit does not, you're not safe to be here. And if ever you have an activity to do there, you should delay it, because the chicken bile and liver does not agree that you're going to do it fine. In our mountains, the future really, and the decision really depends on the chicken. Can you imagine in GPA organization, Sir Byron? Are we going to implement this project? Get the chicken. The chicken says, go, and then we implement this. So see, by then, when you implement that, there is no politics because nobody votes. The chicken will decide. Of course, it's an absurd idea, but if you're going to think about it, maybe it makes sense. You don't have any politics because it's the chicken deciding, not any one of you. You don't even need majority to come up with a decision, right? What do you think? Any comment? So when they butchered the chicken that was prepared for me, and I was asking my friend, what if the chicken does not agree? Sir, they have another chicken to kill. Okay, good. What if that chicken did not agree? Sir, they have another chicken. Okay, last question. What if there's no more chicken? Are they going to kill me? I said, no, sir, definitely you just have to delay the activity and reset it. So when they did the reading of the internal organs, the host said, good alignment. So Mr. Lloyd, you are welcome in our household. And so, slept there, it's a skulls kind of thing. There's a typical house. I walk up like that, and then I took a selfie of my own selfie. Yeah, just imagine how I did that. So, while many people look at the rice terraces and they see it as a tourist attraction, when I did my archaeological research, I saw it the other way. And now I see it as a timeless proof of Filipino leadership ingenuity. What is inherent in your culture? What is inherent in your organization or your team? The gems, the wisdom that are already in place that you don't maximize because you want something else, because you're looking at the other way. Because the challenge is always go back to your root, because your root will probably give you the best chance to succeed. Because if you don't have any knowledge about that, you probably are going to go sideways, because history and your root will definitely play a very important role in your leading and managing your people. So, how great were we before 1521? I'm going to make a very quick discussion. 2000 BC, 500 years after the Pyramid of Giza or Egypt was built, we were already making drawings. We already know symmetry, but we don't call it symmetry. But we are making sense of the shapes already. That's petroglyphs, 2000 BC. In other parts of the country, in southern Mindanao, we call it, we already are looking up to the sky and the stars. While the Greeks call this constellation Orion constellation. You've heard Orion constellation? We have another name for this locally. And so I thought we were already astronomers at the time. Now, here's another interesting fact about our greatness, if you will. This is what you call Balangay. 320 AD, we built it. This is one of the small boats that we use to push away the Europeans. We won that first round, sir. Congratulations. But when they came back, they were more prepared, so we lost. But this is fast. There was no nails used. It's just pure wood. You believe that? That's how genius we were at the time. And this is what we call copper plate. This is where our original script came from, almost Sanskrit, Indian part. But we had our own writing system before alphabets and numbers were introduced to us. So in order for us to be able to be dependent on someone else's culture, what they did was they actually took away our writing system when they introduced that. So we understood the Bible, but first they had to translate it into our language or writing system. And once we understood the Bible, they used religion as a tool for invasion in the Philippines. And once we understood the Bible, and then they removed our writing system. So we don't have a sense of identity because everything is borrowed. So if you're going to talk about greatness of the Filipino people at the time, we were already mathematicians, geometricians, we were ethno-astronomers, we were already engineers, architects, agriculturists, and weavers. We are already maritime navigators, boat builders, traders, investors, or warriors. And we were already linguists, scribes, and communicators. So what happened then? And this is where our Stepback leadership will come into play. We were great people before greatness was taken away from us. How great? I told you. For more than 400 years, we were made to believe that we are less. That's why we are very inferior. We feel that our race is no good. So that when people from other countries go to the Philippines, we look up to them. You know why? They are tall. We always look up to them, and we are short. Are you going to do that or not? What? We are less. So you see, when you try to impose your culture to someone else's, you make them believe you're less. You're no good. You're less. So at some point, maybe the Philippines believe that. So we are unable to maximize who we are really because our belief is that we are subpar. We are not as great. It should be. But again, the history will tell you otherwise. 3 times our identity as a people was altered. 300 years, 103, and 5. We cannot survive that. And so you ask us, who are the Filipino people? What do you want me to choose? I can be Spanish, I can be American, I can be Japanese. Now here's the thing about my discovery. We were a very collaborative people until competition was introduced to us. The strategy was divide and conquer. So our united communities and societies, when they came, they divided us into parishes and churches. And when we were already bite sizes, that's when they start to invade us. Competition is the only way to win? Here's what I think about competition. Someone has to lose in order for one to win. But in collaboration, it doesn't happen. Because in collaboration,
both parties always win. And so, in our perspective, collaboration almost always beats competition. Another thing that I realized during my research, and the material also will suggest, is the idea of trust. I have been a motivational speaker for almost 20 years now. And when I started, I was the kind of motivational speaker that would tell you, you can do it. Of course you can. Whatever you can. You believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Singular. When I did the research, I kind of started my maturity process. And so I no longer say believe in yourself. I say believe in your tribe. Here's another idea about trust your tribe. You don't have to think a lot because you know someone else has got your back. Because you believe in the tribe. The trust is in the tribe, not just in your individual ability to lead and be great, but your opportunity as a group to make it. That's the difference. Now, another interesting thing that I discovered is that I saw this, what's in it for me, right? I'll do this, but you know, what's in it for me? I will do it, but so whenever we are hiring people, the thing in mind is that, okay, I'm going to do it, but what's in it for me? In the Philippine setting, ancient Philippines, not today, but ancient, it's kind of weird, but probably it makes sense. I will do that, but the question is, what's in it for us? I will do that. I will contribute my time, my effort, my energy, my creativity. But what does it mean for us? You see, it's not self-centered kind of thinking. It's communal. They always think of the people next to them. And so I realized success is not an individual sport. It's always a team sport. Even if you feel like you are alone, it's not. So, what's the lost art of Filipino leadership that I'm talking about here? Because if our working thesis is that if the rice terraces were built by free men and no single leader took the credit for building them, and they were sustained for 2,000 years, what's that leadership and management system did we use? So the answer is this is Stepback leadership, which is by textbook definition, a philosophy of putting the people at the center of leadership. In our leadership, it's not the leader who is at the center. It's the people. I'm going to put that into perspective. So I decided I was going to make a framework. Because if I have a framework, I will appear intelligent. So I decided I was going to make a framework out of that. This is what I call Pelego principle. In the leadership story of the Filipino, there are three characters: the people, the leader, and the goat. Now, I'm going to take away one character, and then let's see what's going to happen if I take away one character. Are you ready? Even if you're not, I'm going to do it anyway. So it doesn't matter what your answer is. I'm just trying to ask. Okay, what do you want me to take away first? No, I cannot do the leader because my presentation says it's goal first. So, okay, I'm going to take away the goal first because I cannot edit my presentation, you know what I mean? Okay, if you take away the goal, what remains would be people and leader. What happens when it happens? It's what I call the goal equation. People with leader, but without goal, there's no destination. You cannot go anywhere without the goal. But the goal is something that should not come from the leader alone. This is the principle of buy-in. If you want to achieve your goal, it must be agreed upon by the leader and the people. Collaboration in the works. Of course, you're the boss. Whatever you say, boss, we'll just follow. Should be, should not be. I don't know about your culture, but in the Philippines, we talk to our people. I mean, not today, but then we were talking to our people. Because leadership is a people thing. So that's the first thing. That's the first equation. Now let's take out another one. What do you want me to take out next? Leader, right? Okay, I'm going to take it with the leader. Okay. What happens if you have people and they have goals, but you are not there? Okay, the leader equation says people with goals, but they don't have any leader, they don't have any direction. So your goal as a leader then is to provide direction. This is where we're going. And it happens because most of the time people are too afraid to take their way. And so what leaders do is that this is the way. I have been there, this is the way. Now, inadvertently or accidentally, I discovered something why leaders should be here. And it makes sense that the leader is in this part of the entire framework. What I realized is that leaders should be the bridge so that people can use the bridge to achieve their goal. Because if the people will be here and the leader will be here, and then it's the leader using the people as bridge to achieve their goal. And so I said, as leaders, you are also conduit for the people to achieve what they want. And therefore, you are kind of stepping back already. So that is the people or the leader equation. People with goal but without leader, there is no direction. So, finally, what do you want me to take out? Now you can answer. Okay. Let's take away the people. Okay. Leader, you're a leader. You have a goal, a very grand goal, and you don't have people. Are you a leader? Yes. Or your people? I'm a leader. Doesn't work that way, right? So this is the people equation. Leader with a goal without people, there's no function. There is no leadership without people. In fact, you are not called a leader if you don't have the people. So therefore, I conclude that the only reason you're a leader is the people. So put them at the center of your leadership. How did we sustain them? How did we sustain the rice terraces? Our society is still in existence 2,000 years after. In this particular part of my presentation, I decided I was going to show you the method of our step-back leadership. See? It's a framework. Makes me look intelligent. So, let's see. This is the process and the method of step-back leadership philosophy. First, what you do as a leader is you step in to educate. Step back and then delegate. Step up and then transform. And then repeat. Okay. Take a photo first. Yeah, thank you. One of the key things about sustainability is your ability to transfer not only your knowledge, but your wisdom. And for some reason, in my study, many leaders don't want to transfer their wisdom and their knowledge for fear that the person next to them will be even greater than them. And so there is fear. And so there is mistrust between the manager, for example, and then the assistant manager. Why will I tell you all these things? You have to depend on me. Oh, will have to come through me. You will have to be dependent on me because if I share with you everything that I know, probably you'll be better than me in a year's time. In our practice, ancient practice, we share everything to the next. Because our belief is that every time you give, nothing is lost. Okay. So here's the thing. If I pause for a long time, I'm waiting for that. So education is a very important part of the step back leadership process. And then, when you give everything to the people next to you, that's the only time you can step back. Now, here's my realization. Leadership is not for one person alone. It shouldn't be. Leadership is something that you share with your people. You call it shared leadership. When you step back, because you told them everything that you know, when you step back, you try to make them do exactly what you told them and allow them to exercise and execute what they have learned. And this is the problem. Because of mistrust, there's such thing as micromanagement. Like everything, you check everything, like by the minute. Is it something that encourages and inspires people? When you micromanage, you don't trust me. I have experienced a few years ago when I was still working in the corporate. One time, my boss asked me to do a certain project, and the next day, it's done. Not by me, but my boss. Because the boss doesn't trust me, that's the problem. So when you step back, you try to make them do. Now, when you know that they already can do it on themselves, by themselves, you start to delegate that. That's when you step up. Stepping up, meaning as a leader, you should be trying to learn one thing or two things. You cannot step up and you cannot focus on your development as a leader if you cannot delegate. Because what happens then is that these people will always go to you and ask for things. You are going to be distracted for sure. So it's impossible for you to step up and then transform. But the things that you have learned new, you transform. And then whatever things that you have learned, new things that you have learned, you step in again to educate. You step back to delegate. You step up to transform. And all these three circles in here, they are propelled by three values. And in our model, the three values are, yes, there are three values. The three values are collaboration as a strategy, trust as a currency, and malasakit or empathetic care as a culture. I don't know about your culture, but in the Philippines, we do our overtime work without pay. And we don't demand our bosses, and we don't file cases against our bosses. We simply do the overtime. We call it OTY. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I don't know about your culture, but it's good to do business here, right? Overtime, no pay, no problem. Because we always, I don't know, we are very generous and we are very giving, we're very hospitable, right? I mean, values-wise. But the reason we do that is because of our empathetic care. In Tagalog, in the Philippines, it's malasakit. Can you say the term? Malasakit. Malasakit. I will empathize always with you. That's why in the Philippines, the boss will always think twice of asking people to do this and that. We are not upfront. We are not direct. Do this, do that. We feel it first before we, you know what I mean, right? I'm having a hard time. So you know what I mean? Thank you. So this is your step back leadership framework there. Any question before I formally close my speech? Any question? Okay, good. You're asking if I want to give away few more copies of my book? No? Want to ask? Okay, I'm going to answer that in a few. But to close this discussion, And I hope you're enjoying and you're having a good time. Are you having a good time? I think and I believe the greatest test of leadership is not what happens when you're around. It's what happens when you are in the background. If you want to test your leadership, my suggestion is when you go back to your respective countries, file a 3-month leave. And then see if your team and your organization will work. Because if it doesn't, there is something wrong. You see, in our case, long gone. Our ancestors are long gone. But the thing that they left us is still there, and it's working. You don't have to be always in the front to lead. At some point, you have to step back and let the people grow along with you. Look at your hands. You don't know your hands, or you don't know what to do? Look at your hands. And I would like you to put your hands closer to your face. And I would like you to look at your hand. And do you see your hand blur? It's blurry, right? Okay, I would like you to step back. And then as you move further from your hand, you see that the hand is getting clearer. That's the power of step back. Because sometimes if we are too familiar with what we are seeing, we no longer see the clearer and the bigger picture. How do you think, anyone here who know how to plant rice? Farmer, they plant rice. Okay. They saw on YouTube how to plant rice. Okay. Now I would like you to just imagine, and this is my question. When you plant rice, do you step forward or do you step backward? You step backward. Because each time you step forward after planting, you practically kill the plant right away without giving the opportunity to grow. That is step back leadership. You step back so that the people you planted will grow. So leadership is not about always in front, always in charge. Sometimes it's about stepping back, growing those who will soon be in charge. I have a gift for you. Is it okay? Okay. You send an email to Lloyd at thelunagroup.net with the subject transform. And when we receive that, we are going to send you an e-copy of my 17th book, Transform or Perish, How to Intentionally Change Yourself to Deal with Overwhelming Disruption. Or you want the step back copy? You want the step back instead of this one? Step back ebook. Okay, step back ebook then. So just send an email to Lloyd at thelunagroup.net with the subject step back. Because if you say transform, I'm going to send the transform. So that said, I have final thing to tell you. In fact, I would like to predict your future. Is it okay if I predict your future? Okay, good. Now this is your, ready? You have to be ready because, if I no longer earn from speaking, normally I do the fortune telling kind of stuff on the side. So this is your future, GPA people. Yes, correct. You don't have any future, so no problem. This is your future. 10 years from now, if you're not dead, you're alive. Please, do not argue with me. You cannot win. But 10 years will surely come, whether you like it or not. Whatever it is that you do, however size your organization is, whatever it is that you have or you don't have, 10 years will come. That 10 years does not start in 10 years. The 10 years always starts now. So, from the Philippines, with love, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.